all that stuff. We left that out. We just kept it really basic, just for the other potential clients overseas to see this is what they do, and the contact information. We had that translated so they can reach us. So, and what's really cool about Auctori is that once it's set up, because this is the issue that we always had. We work with companies, we want our website translated. So we ask them, send us your content, right? Send us your HTML files or send us your Word documents. And most of the companies have, okay, where am I supposed to get this from? I don't know who has these. So there's a lot of legwork involved to get these files for for translation. Auctori, the way our website is set up, via you guys, the Net Impact, translators translate right within the website, which is really, really cool. So we don't have to pull the content out anymore. We don't have to ask the initial web designer, can we have all this material? We go right in there and translate within. So I think, I mean, this takes out a lot of work for everybody. It's a really cool process, and I'm sure Steve will talk about that a little more later. So back to Google, until now, Google has the #1 spot on ByteLevel's web globalization report card. John Younger puts out this globalization report card every year, and Google has been on there every year. They're the #1. And I mean, all you see is Google. You don't see any graphics. You don't see anything. I mean, you go on Google DE, same thing. You see the same thing. Any version of Google, you see the same thing. So it's much easier to globalize websites that don't have a lot of images in their design. And images can be deceiving too. They may not be culturally relevant, so the images would have to be redone anyway. So Google realized early on that their bang for the buck was translating everything into other languages. Initially, Google translated their site into 60 languages. I mean, they spent a lot of money on doing all that. And now they support 120 plus languages. And their Google services support between 40 and 50 languages. That's why they're the big dogs, right? So, one more thing what I want to say, because I see this on a lot of websites. If you do translate your website, please do not put country flags on there for customers, potential clients to click on, because you may offend. If you have the Mexican flag, but you're trying to sell to Spain, it's not very good. So put on there for German, Deutsch, put the native language on there so they see, oh, Deutsch, Espanol, Francais, whatever language. You don't want to deal with country flags. That's passé, that's way old. We don't use that anymore. So, how much time do I have left?
As long as you want.
I can talk and talk and talk. I'm not going to get into all this.
You guys can see all my slides when we email you the presentation. Just listen to Susanne.
Suzanne, I have a question on
Yes.
our Asia offices. You know, we're talking about creating a website for our Asia offices too. When you're looking at search terms, and let's say moving to China, do you have to buy? Let's say you're buying search terms with Google. Do you have to go through google.com.cn in order to do that? Or if you buy google.com, does that cover the .cn as well?
No. Steve, you want to get into that?
Go ahead.
You're the expert on that.
So Google looks at two different things. It looks at your IP address to identify where you are located. It also looks at the keyword that was typed in, if there was a location identified within a keyword. So depending on if you want to geo-target, which was the IP address, versus geo-modified, that's the keyword. We're getting a little more technical. With keywords, you want to make sure you include all the locations so you cover yourself from that perspective. So if people are on google.com and they use google.com in China, they could still find you there. You do want to have different targets using IP addresses for local, if it's China, if it's different country for those specific domains. So I would do both. I would do google.com with the different keywords specifying so that you cover there, but I also do target it to specific location. So then you don't have to have different keywords that you bind, you're just targeting to a location. And then make sure that your creative ads are modified to that location. Did I answer?
Natalie is our director of search. She's a Google AdWords individual, so that'd be good for her to answer. So,
Did I answer your question? Did it make sense?
one thing, by the way, with China, if you are going to be, if you're trying to bring Chinese visitors to a Chinese website,
Yes.
you might want to forget Google entirely
Yeah,
and have a
probably.
hosted .cn site that's hosted on a server within China, so it's approved, therefore behind the firewall. You probably want to use Baidu.
Yeah, okay,
You
yeah.
want-
Google
Baidu
is
is-
a little
Baidu's
tricky
the
with
one.
China.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
I know
not
China's
friendly.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in part, and not to get geeky, but really where you host your website makes a big difference in
It
search.
does, 'cause
Mhm.
that was
Huge.
another thing we're talking about, if we should host it here or host it there.
Well, what you can do is you can have a distributed site where you can have your admin all hosted. Sorry, I won't do this much longer. You can have all your admin hosted in the United States or in your country of origination of content, but then you can have distributed sites, more of a more of a static site that comes from that, then that will be published on the international server, on a server that's in China, or a server that's in Japan, or a server that's in, etc. But the closer you can actually get your visitor site to where your visitors are coming from, then the quicker they're going to load that. And load time, Google's changed the world with this whole Panda thing. Load time, popularity, bounce rate, links, people visiting the site, those all count now. It's like a popularity contest. That phone's very popular. So it's like a popularity contest to a great degree. So those are some things to consider in that. But we'd be happy to send you some information on that later on if you'd like to, just to give you some data on it.
That'd be great.
Well,
Yeah.
awesome. What's
Appreciate
your
it.
card?
Okay, thanks.
Now do you understand why you're partnered up? Because we're the translation side.
Yeah, we say, Suzanne, what's this word mean right there?
I don't understand their side.
Right.
Trying to, but they're the experts. A lot of languages, when you translate, expand or shrink. Like Asian languages shrink. Spanish, for example, increases by 30%. So you have to be very careful when you set up your materials, your website, whatever, to leave room for expansion. And I'm not going to get into Unicode because you should have your site in Unicode or Arabic, for example, but the right to languages. So you can talk about all that fun stuff.
I wasn't going to, but
And it's also important to keep content and text separate, right? Am I right with that? I'm becoming a techie. Anyway, and here bandwidth, we're just talking about bandwidth. In some countries, I mean in these emerging countries, bandwidth is really, really still very expensive. So you want to have as little text and graphics as possible so stuff can pull up quickly. Because some of these broadband services in emerging countries cost 10 times their some people's monthly salaries. So you have to be really careful. And then, of course, text-only approach also helps with repurposing text for mobile and different bandwidth environments, like I just said.